Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we're going to give you another earnings reaction to NVIDIA. And by we, Mike is going to hopefully hop on here. He does live out in the sticks. He gets his internet from an AOL disc. He was the guy that went to the stores, like on the little racks and took all the free trial discs. He still has them, still burning through them. So he will be on here eventually. But first and foremost, we're going to knock out what we normally do on streams is the dollar, Bitcoin, then the S&P, the NASDAQ, the Russell. It'll kind of be hard to talk about the NASDAQ without NVIDIA. But let's jump right into it. Little me. Look at NVIDIA go. Well, I can't wait to talk about that. It's going to be fun. All right, as far as the dollar goes, annoyingly, it did push up today. Don't really care for that. What I'm watching as far as the dollar goes is this right here. Now, I really, really need this zone to break. The weekly zone already did. What I needed to do is not bounce right here. I want it to stay below. Like, I liked how yesterday we were actually below that. Like, we were going for it. Today we popped back up. It's annoying, but, whatever. Green days will happen. What's up, Vinay? Vinay's in the chat. What's up with Intel is the question. Vinay, don't you go anywhere. Or you jump in Discord and you start talking about Intel. We're going to have I'm going to write a strongly worded letter to Intel. As far as the US dollar, Japanese yen, it did push up today. As of the open right now, it's selling back off, already getting ready to erase whatever green we did have. I am incredibly short this thing right now. I am bullish the Japanese yen, bearish the US dollar. Burn this pair to the ground. Take this thing to the dirt. I have an extra shovel. If we need to dig that hole a little bit deeper, give it some wiggle room, spread its legs out. That being said, this green is a monthly zone, so a lot's going to happen in this zone. Not too entirely worried about bouncing, holding. I want to see the month end as far as, where this thing goes. Technically, we just now made it to the zone. Next month could just be a consolidation. We might see something like this where it comes down, ends up breaking. We think it's good, but then we close the month, up here and back in. Either way, as long as it's not green and keeps that monthly trend down, I am going to be amazing. Talk for the mentorship stream. This is going to be it. This is everything tonight. But jump in mentorship stream chat. I can never post a joke on. Oh man, if you're watching right now and you're on Patreon and you just commented, the contract may expire worthless. That's good because we're in the one, and by we I mean I am in the 117 sold calls. I didn't buy those calls, so expiring worthless is amazing for NVIDIA. I hope you did pay attention to the whatever I was in. All right, back to it. Bitcoin, hang in. Let's get off the weekly zone or monthly. All right, so far hanging out in this zone. Let's see if it bounces. Kind of just a little chop day. I would be looking for a reversal right here as far as Bitcoin goes. So still nothing dollar Bitcoin correlation yet. And I'm just gonna keep saying that for the people that are just tuning in. You will hear a completely different tone when I see institutions are hedging the dollar with Bitcoin. Theta Gang tattoo. Let's go. That was last week. I said last week if NVIDIA pulled back, I would get a Theta Gang tattoo. But that didn't happen. So I'm out scot-free. All right, S&P. No. That's not good. S&P gapped down. You're probably thinking, SPY gaps all the time. And if you don't know what you're doing, yeah, you think that all the time because you look at SPY and you think, there's a gap, and there's a gap, and there's a gap. And you've probably heard this 1,000 times. I have to say it again because of what just happened. This is nothing. This is garbage. If you think SPY gaps, it's going to fill those gaps, you just don't know what you're talking about. Flat out. Sorry. I've tried to be nice about it before. You're just clueless. This is an ETF. Okay. It will play catch up. And tomorrow morning, there will be a gap down. What's important, though, is the futures information. Because that's a real gap. Now, this is what drives order flow into things like the S&P. So hang on a second, because I need to check that. Make sure we're not rolling, are we? Oh my gosh. So not a good sign. In fact, this is how we caught we talked about the gap down right here and how that wasn't good. Look what that led into. Absolute obliteration. It's not good when futures gap down because this is one of the most liquid things ever. And if you understand what a gap actually is, so you need that buyer and seller to match up to all we are is like a glorified account. And we're just looking at receipts right here. That's all. This is like a CVS receipt of just a bunch of transactions. You're telling me the most liquid product, there wasn't a single buyer or seller inside right here? Everyone's looking to sell, and someone said, I guess I'll take a contract right here, the 5580. And someone said, fine, take mine. And that was it. Man, and there's a lot to unpack here. So when we gap under a zone, so mentally you're just let me paint the picture this way. Let's say Goldman Sachs is buying this thing up. JP Morgan has a heavy short position. So they're tired of the buy side activity from Goldman Sachs at this zone. Drop a huge order, right? Get that sell order, fill the whole order book. Just take all of them. Gap that thing right here and start triggering everybody's stops. Because if there's a zone, any real trader is probably trading price action in kind of zones, somewhere around there, right? You know, there's demand right here, and there's stops right below because it's not retail. And they don't just hold on to things forever. So it's easy to gap it right there, trigger stops, send it lower. A lot of times that's how manipulation is done because they'll gap it down, let the panic do its thing. Because if you guys think red news or bearish news brings out sellers, you're kidding yourself. What brings out the most sellers is a red candle. Bring out one of those and they'll worry about news later. But man, gapping below that zone. Anyway, sorry. They'll gap it down, let the panic sell off do its thing, and then they buy it back up cheaper. So that same JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs is right here trying to buy it up. JP Morgan said, we're not jacking around with this, or I don't like you today. That's all. You should have paid for dinner last time we had our little under the table meetings. So gaps it down. Goldman Sachs sells off, right? Drops this thing down even more. JP Morgan picks up all the contracts right here. Snaps it right back up. All of a sudden they're in a good play. That's how a lot of manipulation's done. It's very hard to do on something like the S&P because that is the most liquid product out there. And when you hear me talk about liquidity, it's easy to like pre-market extended hours. It's easy to convince 5 people the price should be something. Try convincing 5 million people the price should be something. And everyone's voting with their wallets all at once. Now, 5 million is a joke as far as liquidity goes for the S&P, but just in those extremes. So you have the most extreme thing, and not a single buyer was here. You walked into a fully loaded, sold-out concert venue, and you couldn't sell a single T-shirt to anybody? I don't know. Not a good look. All right. So is this because of NVIDIA is going to be the next question? Maybe. NVIDIA carries a lot of weight. Certainly could be. Tomorrow, that's going to gap. If where we're at now, we're going to gap right to the expected move. So we're at, so far, still within what market makers thought we would do this week. Let me get my expected moves up real quick. All right, the S&P, 2 standard deviations down, 545.53. We do need to know this number. 545.50, close enough. We get out, so right now it's you and institutions, market movers, not market makers. You're on the playing field, okay? You get below this, it's going to be you, the market movers, and the market makers. So you just introduce a whole nother level of volatility inside the trades. More likely than not, we're going to rein it back in. We'll close inside here, but that smaller chance gets it. It's like a what is it? Speak softly, carry a big stick. It's like a little chihuahua, right? It's a smaller percent chance. Got a lot of bark to it. So market makers start delta hedging and get that vacuum down. We might hit that 545 a lot faster than you think. Especially when all the panic and emotion usually shows up with the red. It's a lot easier to do that. Last time Don called a gap, it was ugly. Yeah, because it's not good and they don't happen very often. So when they do, it's time to focus up. But worry about the little dumb stuff you're worried about in your stupid lines, or like indicators or anything like that. Like the big boys are playing right now, so just get in line, listen, and watch your money, I guess. All right, Nasdaq gap down. Now that still isn't good, right? Even with Nvidia earnings, we've seen bad earnings, and all Nasdaq did was open red and then come down. The instant gap like that. I'll put it this way: Nvidia needs to hold this. Not Nvidia. Sorry, the Nasdaq needs to hold this. I'm still bullish for the time being, at least next week. Uh, Shout out to Dom in my group. He did bring up a good point. He said you don't want to send everybody off to vacation, Labor Day weekend, poor. You want to hype things up going into that, and then make them hate themselves when they come back. And honestly, if we're looking at this, that's still by every standards a bull flag. But right now, the ball is in the Bears' court. The Bears are the ones, they're running the ball. They got it. So the Bulls need to show up, not one or two. You need to get your friends. You need to get everybody. Because right now it's looking like a game of Red Rover, except for it's all the kids lined up and the teachers coming over. They're about to mow these kids down. So, and the NASDAQ does need to hold. If we were to get that low, if this gap down leads into what happened last time and we sell off, needs to hold this. Don't worry about the gap fill and rejection. That's not going to be a thing in futures. There's a lot of 15-minute candles between now and Labor Day. There is. So hopefully we do kind of get this push up. Now, if we do have a green day, in the time I'm talking, that candle could turn green. But anything on that trend is still just a lower high, which is what makes the bull flag suck, because we're literally talking about, oh, it's a bull flag, that's bullish, as it's making lower lows and lower highs. Like, yeah, that's awesome. Real sweet. So keep an eye out for that. If there is a green candle and we really get this thing up and we kind of hit this zone right here, still in line with that, you might have some trend players. You're going to have some zone players. There's going to be a lot going on at this zone right here. So I'd be very cautious of that. I'm going to make that, we're going to fine tune that just a tad bit. We're going to brighten this thing up. All right. So now if you're bullish, you need to get above that sooner than later. Any rip force for the dip? Rip your face off rallies, right? The rip your face off rallies happen in times like this when we're actually selling off. This would still be a bullish market right here. Looking at just this time sample right here, we're up. This is just the dip. The rip your face off rallies come when you're just trending down. Everybody's all fat and happy as far as the bears go. They got all the jars of honey, and then all of a sudden they get up. Like the buyers show up, they lock in their profits. They don't have a sweet tooth anymore, and it absolutely sends it. All right, as far as expected moves for QQQ, 2 standard deviations down is 456.98. 456. Oh, shoot. Man, just pick one of these. Oh, my gosh. Sorry, drawing the lines. Sometimes it's difficult. All right, there we go. 2 standard deviations. Same story. Ooh. Oh, it's going to be right at that zone. That zone needs to hold. What's today? Wednesday? If we were to jack around and end up on Friday at the bell right here, I would go long over the weekend. Very early to be calling that right now. But while we're talking about a gap down, we are trending down. Let's, I got to say for now, I know that does sound very fear-mongering, and I did wear the bear, the red shirt, the Red Bull shirt today for that reason. I would probably pump the brake. If I was bearish right now, I would be really considering managing any positions I'm in. I don't know if I'd be popping bottles just yet. If I'm up on anything, stops would be in the green. Because right now we're still very much bullish, and this dip could get bought up. Like there's a lot of time between now and tomorrow's open, and even that we could just buy the dip up. Fingers crossed we don't. I like where we're at. The Russell starting to, so we held that zone, kind of like the type 2 area. If we really zoom in and stretch it out here. Buyers tried to show up. It looks like they're about to just get stomped on. So if you're looking to go long the Russell, I'd probably wait for this zone. If I was going to go short the Russell, I would go short, put a stop right here above this second red wick back. IWM, no need to go over that one. Tesla sucks. We're probably about to get that vacuum down. Tesla, here comes the coin toss right now. I don't know what options pricing looks like, but if you want a cheap play, Friday's expiration, and you grab a 208 call or a 198 put, if we send it to one of these lines, could end up, if you get it for the right price, could be all right. But the volatility is already there in Tesla. It looks like market makers tomorrow have to make a decision. We start delta hedging one way or the other. Rein that thing back in or start getting to that neutral delta, which a lot of times, again, just creates that vacuum, right? Just endless loop right down to that second standard deviation. I guess let's talk about NVIDIA now. I don't see Mike, which tells me his AOL might be gone. Or he's watching, he's waiting for me to say that, and then he's going to pop in. By the way, let's talk about NVIDIA. Let's talk about my plays first, and then we'll get into it. Because I was kind of all over the place with NVIDIA. Even the past couple weeks, you can ask people in my group. I was like, man, I kind of want to go short. I'm going to be short. Maybe I'm going to be long. Maybe I'm going to even take both. I'm going to buy out of the money calls and puts. Today, we ended up going, and by we, I mean, I just post it. So I say we because a lot of people have the same analysis as I do when I post a play. When our NVIDIA earnings, I don't know, soon I think. This morning, where is the? Sorry, hang on, we switch everything around. Okay, so 3 minutes. I'll just have to show this. I'll try not to show everything. I posted this just as a joke. It's the first meme I've actually ever posted in this. This is where I just post all my plays. But we have the 117. I have the 117 sold call on NVIDIA right now. It's sitting at 116.04. So that expiring worthless, banging. Probably gonna roll it. I'm gonna roll it regardless. I might just keep the 117s. Maybe I bump it to 118. We'll have to see. If I think the trend is down, it'll stay 117, if not 116. So the part that sucked was we had the 117 and it shot up. It's like, so we're in management mode. Like we needed this to sell off. Be good. All right out of the gate today, NVIDIA put spread. After looking at everything, I decided to just go theta and vega neutral. So I went with spread. So the put spread, I bought the 127 put, sold the 124. Again, theta and vega neutral. I'm not going to get IV crushed. I bought it for 145. That ended up pushing up to so you do this all as one transaction, so it's $1.45, $145 each for each one you do. I did some of these in my main account as well. That ended up being around 20% because NVIDIA sold off. Where are we at? We'll get to the price action. 1024 is when I closed it. Filled at I've had a limit order at 170. It did fill at 173, but then that's for this Friday. Here's the magic, okay? I bought the NVIDIA, same thing, but I bought the 124 call, sold the 127 call, expiring next week, paid $1.33. Now, right now, those are down. So if we're looking at it right out of the bell, I go short. Bing, bang, boom. Anyway, it sells off, so we lock it in. Where's the we gotta get to a smaller time frame. Right here is where we lock in the puts. And by we, I mean I. I just say we again because a lot of people have the same analysis. I just don't know about it until I post a play. Then everyone's like, hey, I thought the exact same thing. Great minds think alike. I certainly don't have a call-out service. It's not what it is. I don't care what you're in. Anyway, that's when I closed the puts. and then grab the calls. So nailed that from the short, went long, but the long play was for earnings. So that's for next week. The puts I was going to just keep. I was like, we're kind of in this zone. So I'm going to go short. It's going to be my earnings play. Happen to be green. If you take an earnings play and you're up before earnings, why keep the chips on the table? That was my idea, was to go ahead and close that. But then why I went long is because like I told you guys, if we were to send it one way or the other, I'm going to take the opposite play. And I kind of thought, man, we're sending this thing down. The heads and tails to that coin is somebody knows something, right? Both ways. Somebody knows something, get out now before earnings, or somebody knows something, let's scare some people, let's get some cheap calls. So that's why I take the opposite play. Oui, as in yes in French. That's right. Oui, oui. Anyway, that was for this Friday because it was just an earnings play. Selling off like that, I thought, okay, we sold off. We're rejecting this zone. Let's go next week on the calls. So if we chop around, we have a whole week for that to recover, because if we do sell off, the buy the dip crowd shows up and could still save us. So that's where I said the magic is going to happen, because the 117 call sold. That expires worthless. That's amazing. That's 100% play. But then we recover. So then we made money going short, made money short on the sold call, and then it recovers. Now if it gets to 127, what that was, a $4 spread, $3. It was a $3 spread. So just a little over 100% play on that. So there's still a way I come out smelling like a rose and just we pull the hat trick, right? All three. So that'll be best case scenario for me. Here's where I could absolutely, I got to keep it PG or G rated, because we're on TikTok as well. And they, oh man, they're not ready for my attitude. I've already been banned one time because they're sensitive over there. So we got to be careful for them. A little sensitive kids. Anyway, I put an order to buy. Told the chat and everything. Got to order at 115 to buy shares. It starts selling off. I'm like, I got to order at 115. What does it drop to? I could lose my mind. It drops to 115.01. This is how I know there's a market maker that is subscribed to me, follows my channel, and has it out for me. Does not like me, because that's annoying. 1 penny away. I missed the dip by 1 penny. Oh man, I was annoyed, because I had it before this red wick. So it came down, ding, just kidding, went right back up. I saw it bounce and holding this zone. I did buy more, and I bought more up here. It was at 121.48. I was like, whatever, just give me the stupid shares. So I did add on to NVIDIA, which that add on right now, red, I need that to chill. What, the Heroes in a 117 sold call? I was just kidding. I sold the 115s. Anyway, I need that to below. A market maker goes by the name Eddie. So I guess more importantly on the 117, it actually doesn't matter if it's 117, 116, 118. That, more importantly, is at the money. Now, at the money carries the most. So right now, that'll expire. Time value, I have nothing. It's the what if value for next week when I roll it. So by keeping that, I'm going to get a full week's worth of theta on this next one. So I want to be cautious. I want to see, because if I roll the 117 and it does recover, then I'm just still in management mode. So maybe I roll the strike up and roll it from 117 to a 118. I'll still get paid regardless. I could probably roll up to a 119 or 120, still get money. But if we're still trending down or anything weird is happening, I just collect less and we start to move away from at the money. So that'll be what I have to manage and flirt with this week and see what we do. Well, you saved a penny a share, so. If you do follow the Patreon and you follow the account, might be rolling that tomorrow. Rolling is usually something I do on Fridays. However, we might, just to get the extra day of theta, might grab that, might do that tomorrow. Short week next week. That's right. Market is closed Monday. We got an extra day of theta. All right. So more than likely, keep an eye out on the Patreon because you will get that alert tomorrow. Can't say 100%. More than likely. Let's do the numbers. Here's what they talked about. Surprise. So estimated 64.5 cents a share. They did 68. No big deal. Estimated 28.737 billion. They did 30 billion. But that's a beat. Why did it go down? Something about what they said on the call. Guidance. I think the guidance was actually in line. Hang on. 1 penny is the dividend that made all the difference. Yeah. Now, the one thing I was listening for on the earnings call and in that report was, do they keep the dividend? They don't call me Dividend Don for nothing. I am in NVIDIA because I like residual income. It's what I talk about all the time on this channel. And it is my number 3 dividend ticker. Real quick, if you guys are new here, my top 3 tickers that I hold, they are dividend tickers because Dividend Don, right? Meta, Tesla, and NVIDIA. Okay. Don't let anybody fool you. You buy these things for the dividend, which is really cool because every 100 shares of NVIDIA you have, you get a check every quarter for $1. That's how I support things, At least I would in 2004 when McDonald's had the dollar menu. But they don't anymore because they hate us. Okay, they talked about a $50 billion buyback with no expiration. So that's on the table. There's a lot of people talking about Jensen Huang. Everybody knew this was going to be read. I just want to shout this out because you didn't. Stop. Please stop. Every time you say this, it's an assault on my IQ. And I don't want to spare brain cells on silly comments like this. Jensen Huang was selling his shares, and that's how they knew NVIDIA was going to be read. Okay. First of all, what Jensen Huang sold would quite literally be like me giving up the $1 dividend on this per 100 shares. It means literally nothing. If you check and see how much that guy has, it's not a price tag. Jensen Huang's not staring at the charts. He's probably not subscribed to me. I mean, he might be. He probably recognizes the skill, the absolute genius, but he's not subscribed to me for price action reasons. He's not sitting here wondering, hey, when's it going to hit that yellow box? I'm going to sell some shares. Those are scheduled to sell anyway. We know about him far in advance, and he sold nothing, literally nothing. So please stop saying that. That's just not the case. And I do want to. I heard what Meet Kevin said, and I need Meet Kevin to hear me out on this. Actually, all the YouTubers. I haven't heard anybody talk about this, and I think they're missing out. They're worried about a lot of these tickers because of a recession. And, does AI do well in a recession? Long story short, that's what they're talking about. I don't want to hold AI stock, stuff like that. AI is the future, but what if we go into a recession? If you are a small, I know why Mike's not here. Give me one hot second. I didn't send him the link. Okay. Mike might be joining us soon. Anyway, if you're a company and times are hard, it's a recession, right? Can you afford not to be an AI? How can you keep your performance but trim the fat? Albeit employees, there's a lot of things you can do to trim the fat. There's a lot of things that AI can replace to where you keep running like a lean green fighting machine, but it's AI. So not only did you trim the fat, you perform even better. Can you afford not to be an AI in a recession? And so I think a lot of people are leaving a lot of money out by just not paying attention to that part. Like they're just not taking it from that angle. Let's bring on Mr. Mike.
What's up?
Anyway, I'm going to blame your AOL for why you weren't here.
Oh, that's good.
Not
Sure.
Send you the link.
Sure.
So I assume you were listening in?
Yeah.
Maybe? Okay. What do you think about recession and AI stuff? What I just said. Remember that video we did where we talked about Klarna?
Klarna.
They had the pink car. I said I would never get into it just because they have that stupid pink car. And they have the customer service. Their AI does the work of 700 employees.
Yeah.
They actually are cutting. I think they're cutting CrowdStrike and Salesforce because AI is doing it all. So
you're talking about an AI recession, as in people are like the bubble has popped. Is that what you're talking about?
No. I'm talking about we're going to a recession. Times are hard. What's something you can do as a company to trim the fat, cut the costs, but still perform?
Absolutely.
Because AI might just be the answer to the recession.
Yeah, it will be.
Yeah, because if I can't afford an employee to carry the boxes from A to B, but I can afford a robot one time, all of a sudden that Amazon warehouse is figured out. And now not only did they just do that, and they don't have to pay that person at all, or the benefits, or if they take advantage of, because a lot of people don't know, it's not just how much you pay an employee an hour. There's all the other taxes that come with it. There's what if you pay for their school? You get to cut all of that.
Right.
And you get to run 24 hours because the robot just doesn't get tired. You can run tethers on them, and then you don't even have to worry about them charging. Everybody thinks robots are going to run on batteries. Why wouldn't you just tether them? Not for balance reasons, but just so they never have to dock and charge, and then you're good.
I guess that's a possibility, yeah.
If you're smart.
The tethers could get in the way. But regardless, they could still buy two. Alternative.
What if it's a track system? It's just a giant antenna creating that. So all you have is just a flat, hot surface. Okay, you have the tether going up, and just like rail cars, that just touch along the top. Now they don't intertwine. They don't braid each other. They have constant power. You don't want to touch that ceiling because you'll get blasted. So it's just more reason to fire everybody else, because you just need robots. It's a safety environment now.
Yeah,
now
actually, it'd be an insurance thing. They'd have to have no people just to keep insurance.
Exactly, and that's great because I don't want to fire you. I have to. That's OSHA making me do this. Okay,
that's right.
My hands are tied. All right. Anyway, that's why Jensen Huang does subscribe to me, is to pick up on ideas like that, not for price action to sell his shares. But what do you think about NVIDIA? What's your game plan? How'd you do?
So I'll say I've never been happier that I was wrong, because I had said we were going to send it, and it did not go that way. So I'm actually very happy about that.
Yeah. Now, what calls did you have? You had calls sold?
I had the sold calls. I had the 121 strikes.
Oh, nice. So you're just down. Not quite the 117s where I'm at. I'm just kidding. 121s. That's great. So hopefully by morning we are still kind of at where we're at. Are you going to close, roll, or what?
So my expiration is for next week. So I'll just leave those alone until they close out Wednesday or Thursday next week. If it continues to go down, I may close out early and roll down a strike, but the same expiration.
Yeah. I kind of want to let the dust settle and see where we're at in the morning. And for anybody that sold calls, I would consider maybe just buying it back and locking it in, just in case the dip buy crowd does show up.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had somebody spam me. Yeah, you think the dip buy crowd's going to show up? Where do you think this ends? Or what do you just give us the rundown? What's your opinion? I gave the numbers. We surprised everybody.
So there was a surprise. There's going to be a $50 billion buyback. I do wonder. I don't know what the time frame is on the buyback, so that could prop up the price for a little bit.
It said without an expiration date.
Yeah, so who knows how long that's going to take?
It could be 2030.
Yeah. Given that the market was pretty red today, and after hours other things started to tank, I do think we're going to go down just a little bit. I think we're going to see some lower prices. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw NVIDIA around the 110 area.
Somebody just asked, should they short NVIDIA to 110?
Oh, really? Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm thinking about the 110 area.
Um, be hang on, let me share my screen real quick. There we go. All right, so the 110 area is going to put us right there in that zone where we would expect some buyers. Plus, we're outside one standard deviation, so maybe just another reason for market makers to buy it up, rein it back in.
Yeah.
So if that's going to be your plan, if you're going to short it to 110 or anything like that, I would make sure, if you're at work, whatever it is, make sure you can get to your phone, because for now, the first time we hit that zone, I don't think it's going to be long lived. I bet it snaps back up.
I agree. I think if you're shorting, trying to get to 110, as soon as it reaches that, you better have your stop loss in place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that's already, I mean, zone to zone, the brighter zones we were talking about, still right through that one. Now it might bounce
and then come back and hang out.
Zone, yeah, bounces and then comes back down into it. Then you might be all right. We might even see even a little bit cheaper. I hate to be super bearish this, but I do think the as red as this thing's probably going to go is going to be this bottom zone right here, or this zone right here at 104, 103. The way it snapped up, anything sub 100, Pelosi and her cronies just started grabbing it up. So I don't see that getting that close. I think people get too excited and start buying it up. But the question, if you're short, it goes into that zone. You're thinking, oh, it's going to bounce here and come back down. What if it just bounces there and doesn't? What if it just turns on that dime? Which is why I would rather get out if I was short the first time it hits that zone, just in case.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's gonna hit the 110 area, might bounce out. It potential to come down to that second zone that you've got there at the 102 to 104, but it will not hang out there long. I mean, it's going to be a split second, and then it's going to start going right back up.
Yeah. Now, the top of this zone is 104.86, so you might consider putting your buy order at 104.87. I don't know if you caught that, Mike, but it dropped to 115.01 with my order at 115.
I saw that this afternoon. That sucks.
How annoying is that?
You'll pick it up tomorrow.
No, I already bought it.
Oh, okay.
I hate this question because I don't like this word, but it's what's a safer short play? And probably just, I get what you mean. Cut that out of your vocabulary. You're just subliminally telling yourself you have better odds, or there is a safe play to be in. These candles will always be red and green, no matter what. But it does pertain, since you already have the idea of shorting, NVIDIA. What about shorting the QQQ? It's going to be cheaper. We already got a nice trend down. Futures actually gapped down. So a little bit more meat on the bones as far as QQQ versus NVIDIA. But I think this could be managed a lot easier than trying to short NVIDIA right now. Because if everyone else feels the fear, double-edged sword, because if NVIDIA does well, but all the other ones suck, your QQQ play is going to do good. But at the same time, Meta might just send it, and NVIDIA can do whatever it wants. Meta will carry that market as well. So what do you think? If you wanted to take action in the short, I know you're not really a short, you're not a short person either. But like, what would you, what do you think? If you want to get on this bear action, what's jumping out at you?
I think I agree. The tech sector is probably going to get hit first. So if you're going to go short, that's probably where to go do it. I mean, I wouldn't do the S&P or SPY. I think this is where you want to do it, because that way you're going to get the overall downward tech trend versus one or two. Like NVIDIA could just turn around tomorrow, right?
Yeah, before the bell.
Yeah, so this gives you the odds, right? This gives you the odds that the rest of the tech is going to tank, and not just one ticker is going to go shooting straight up.
Yeah.
If it gapped down, then yeah, I think is that a warning shot?
Yeah, it really is. Now we have a decent catalyst because NVIDIA is down, but I'll show you the last time it gapped down. Right here, gap down, full send.
Yeah,
and then we gap down again, and then really sent it. but it got bought right back up. Anytime futures gap, it's just not a good sign.
Yeah.
And I would love to show you guys all the other times it happens. It just doesn't happen. It is very rare that it happens.
That's because it's so liquid. It's so almost impossible that it does happen.
Yeah. Which is why I'm glad it's happening now, to be honest, because of how many arguments I've gotten in for people playing a gap fill on SPY.
Hmm.
It got so bad, like, I don't even care anymore. Like, yeah, if you tell me you're playing a gap fill, I'm like, whatever. Yeah, it's going to fill. All of them. Just not all the ones that haven't filled yet and never will. But surely at some point they will, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, not a
Yeah.
good time.
No, it's not.
All right. You're doing this with me. Let's answer some questions.
Yeah, once I got the link, it was good.
Okay, you ready to hang out for a little bit? You want to answer some breakdown questions?
I can try.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not the trader, but we'll give it a
shot. Do you think Google is undervalued?
Yes, I do. Simply because I keep very good tabs on the news with their Waymo vehicles, and they're just killing it. I mean, they're racking up hundreds of thousands of miles a day with full autonomous driving. I think that if Tesla doesn't get their stuff together quickly, Waymo is going to obliterate them.
And like Mike said in the beginning, he's just not a trader. He just doesn't understand. That's why we just don't ask him questions. On that note, like I have some pushback a little bit. Waymo has the equivalent of like a neighborhood. They're geofenced. They can't really go anywhere. It's very like
they're in San Francisco, LA, Phoenix. They're opening up new markets soon.
They are. I guess I don't want to discount from that, but you can't just say, "Hey, take me from here to there."
Yeah, you can.
No, it's got to be inside their little location. You can't just say, "Hey."
That location is the entire city. I mean, so it's not a small location, right? So,
yeah, but I can't. What if I need to go on a 100-mile trip?
They'll get there.
Nope. No, because it'd be outside.
Think about it. What's harder, inner city driving or highway driving?
Highway, inner city. I don't know. Depends. They both have their times because highway is just smooth sailing. That's easy. And unless there's traffic, I guess it all comes to traffic because everyone's a human, and man, they suck at driving.
Well, I'll just say I'm very impressed with their hundreds of thousands of driverless taxi service trips every day.
Yeah,
that's pretty impressive. And then you got DeepMind on top of that, which is just killing it from an AI point of view. So I do think they're undervalued.
DeepMind is. I can say that. But just because of what you said about Waymo and it offends me about Tesla, I'm gonna start putting traffic cones on the hood. So good luck.
That's I gotta take the emotions out of it, right? So I like Tesla. I'd like Tesla.
Then I better not see you mad when you see all those Waymo cars stuck on the road because I put a traffic cone on the hood and I think something's there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna roll around like a newspaper van. I'm just gonna throw traffic cones randomly. All the humans are just gonna go right around it. That car's gonna be stuck in its tracks. I'm gonna take pictures of everybody in the vehicle as they're losing their minds. I'm gonna have a whole post about it. I'm like, should have got a Tesla.
Yeah. I got to go with the data.
All right, I agree with you on that one. All things aside, but as far as what I'm doing and buying, anything I buy, any shares, if it's an options contract outside of like an earnings play, like with NVDA, I'm doing December's expiration. Like I guess I have an a Palantir 28 strike call for November, but I bought that before even saying this. That was out of the money when I bought the 28. But there's no amount of red I think that's going to show up that's going to get me to sell anything I'm buying now. It's December at least. If you think it's undervalued, I guess what I'm saying is you're still in the splash zone. So just make sure you bring a poncho. Make sure your allocation shows that. You don't want to go all in because we said Google's undervalued, and then Google sells off because you're staring at a picture-perfect bear flag, breaks that zone, heads to 151, and you're losing your mind because you've never been down that much, or you do something reckless and you go all in calls because you don't know what options are. You don't give yourself the appropriate amount of time, and you just take 100% loss. That's how you can blow your account.
Yeah.
So I would say for the time being, your allocation needs to reflect some volatility. But I typed it wrong. Let's check out the
Yeah,
picks.
and I'll say none of my picks would ever be a whole account situation, right? Like I have.
Oh, so you're saying I shouldn't?
Yeah, whatever.
Hmm. Okay. Is SOXS the play for tomorrow? Watch for a bounce and fade. If I was going to take it, it would be that play. It would need to bounce first because that's the bearish play. What is the chances of an NVIDIA bounce tomorrow? I would still put that at a 50-50. Like even though I'm in the 117 calls, I hope it stays down here. I'm trying not to jinx it. Would I be even the least bit surprised to see it at 125 tomorrow morning? Not even a chance.
No.
I would be annoyed, but it's almost like to be expected with NVIDIA. It's the golden child, so all it can do is get a grass stain on its soccer shorts. That's all it can do.
Yeah. Surprise is not the emotion. Annoyance is the emotion. Absolutely.
Yeah. So to see this thing at 114 or 124 tomorrow, I would have the same reaction. Like, yeah, there it is. It's going to be about it. All right. So we got to answer technician. And he said, "Can we do Zoom tonight?" And I said, "No." And he says, "I got a paragraph for you." And I said, "All right. Can I sum it up to I can't read and what should I do next?"
He told me about it.
Yeah. So his comment is, "Yes, I can read, but since you did the spread on the put side, so I bought puts for this Friday, and what he didn't realize was when I closed it and bought the calls, he didn't realize that I gave it till next Friday on the call side because I like to get that recovery time in there. It's called being a ninja." Let me get to seeing how I kind of dodged a bullet with the NVIDIA call spread. Would you still recommend me get into that same option at a cheaper price, seeing the price action we have now? I think that's a question I could probably answer better in the morning. Let's let it digest. Because there's a couple ways to go about it. One, you buy the same thing, so it's the same thing as the growth account, cheaper. You get a better entry. Then you follow the exit plan. The exit plan right now is going to be 100%, right? So it either loses money. That's risking capital, right? I'm probably not stopping out of that. Or you take the same play, move the strikes down a little bit, and you're just at the 100% faster than I am. So what would you do, Mike? And there's no wrong answer here. You missed the call out. You've been trying to learn from experience. So you're not following my call out service, but you're trying to gain from my posted plays. But you missed one. And this happened. What would you do?
If I missed it, I would let it go. I wouldn't try to. Just me.
Yeah, wouldn't try to chase it.
Missing a play is not the end of the world. I'd rather just move on and catch the next one than try to make up for it some other crazy way that could potentially backfire, right? So I would actually just wait for the next one.
Yeah. Good news is you locked in the profits the same. You locked in the profits of the trade. You just might not be locking in a red one. Because this was around earnings, I think I might be leaning on what Mike said. I'll be in the chat tomorrow, so we can, this won't be the last you hear from me, obviously. But
I mean, think about it. We got thousands of trades that we post that people can follow or not follow. If they miss one, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's actually growth account doesn't have thousands of plays.
Well, I'm just talking overtime.
Oh yeah. Yeah, in the grand scheme, this is literally nothing. Plus the one downside to call out services that sucks a lot is when people pick and choose which ones they follow. a lot of those guys like, oh, I'm successful. They lose because they're doing like riskier stuff, and then they hit a banger, and then it makes up for the last 12 losses and then a little bit. But you didn't follow that one, and you followed all the other ones. Then you're just down. But and I'm not bragging, but look at the growth account, and then how many losses have we taken? I think we've taken a loss, right?
In the growth account, I think there was one.
Yeah. So let's just say one, give or take one, max two. This would be the second, third, or first. Nah, I don't think it's the first one. I think I've taken a loss before. But like you're going to set this thing back a negligible amount. It's going to be nothing. So I don't know. You might just enjoy the risk-free. Because what I'm doing now is essentially like, hey, we need this thing to recover to get that play. Usually my plays are just right. Where this is going to be red and hopefully right. You just get to avoid that whole part. I know you're trying to follow it. I do. I think you're gonna. I gotta say this one might be you might have just dodged a bullet on this. I will say if we see some buyers show back up, because it's a theta and vega neutral play, so don't have to worry about vega crush or anything like that, or the long weekend. If we start to digest this and we're kind of already back at this zone, then maybe you do take the play. It's just going to be cheaper.
Yeah, I would just say wait till the morning, see what's going on, and then just advise them, or let them know what you would do.
Yeah. He says also, if the 117 sold call NVIDIA becomes out of the money, are you buying it back at 80% or not? Are we waiting for? So typically, guys, if I'm up 80%, I usually just close it. I'm trying to think, what do other people do? Oh, they brag about making 10% a year. That's awesome. Anyway, if I'm up 80%, I'm just kidding. There's just no like the extra. I talk about like eating a chicken wing, right? Like you don't need to get the gristle and every little bit off there. Just get most of the meat and move on to the next wing. If you're at a buffet, there's just no need to bite that thing down to the bone. Move on. There's a good chance I do roll that one tomorrow because that one's going to be up a lot. So why not?
Yeah, my 121 strike. I might be able to get 80%, say Monday or Tuesday, if things don't change.
Yeah,
and that one I will close sooner than wait for the next Friday expiration.
Let me bring up. And then technician, sometimes I wonder. He says the growth count looks down right now. Any thoughts? Looks down about a G. So here's what's not updating right now.
Yeah.
The options contract. So right now we have the shares that have gone down in the account. Yeah, they're down about $1,000. Mm-hmm. You know what's also about to be down tomorrow, $1,000? This contract. So right now, this contract, it's probably going to show somewhere in the middle at 11:25, 11:30, 11:40, somewhere around there. That's going to be at $100 tomorrow. So that's going to drop $1,000 right at the bell. I jokingly said this in the chat the other day because NVIDIA was up, and I was like, man, the P&L looks amazing when you're an options seller, like pre-market. Things just look really good, and then the market opens, and then the options contracts adjust. You're like, oh, that was nice. Now I'm back to the real world.
Yeah. So I rolled the September 6th 121 call and collected $1,300 for it. That'll be down to what? A couple $100.
The which one?
It's the September 6th 121.
Okay. Yeah, that'll be
down $1,000.
Yeah, because that'll probably be around $150.
Yeah,
tomorrow, because you'll be a fefew dollars out of. If we open up right here, you'll be a few dollars out of the money, which is usually right around the $20 $20 deltas that we're selling,
right,
for $150 a week.
Yeah, I may just close that one. We'll see.
So, Yeah, I can tell you're just not used to this, technician, but that's literally all that is because one's updating without the other. Kind of like when you're in a spread. If you're in an option spread in general, your P&L can dance around because one options contract got updated while the other, well, one had like a transaction while the other one didn't, and you might be up a lot. Like I've been in $15 spreads that are up $30. Like it's literally impossible to be that. But like all of a sudden your P&L just jumps up 90 grand. You're like, well, I'm doing something right, but then it then it updates you like 9 grand. All right, well, I like 90 better. Do you need to own 100 shares to sell options contracts? An option contract is for 100 shares. So yes, for your contracts has an S. It's for every contract is every 100 shares you can sell one contract against.
Well, to clarify, you have to own 100 shares to sell a call.
Right.
You don't need to own a shares to sell a put.
But the ability to buy 100 shares.
That is correct. You have to have the cash to be able to buy 100 shares of whatever it is you're selling a put on.
Yeah. Palantir leaps or poor man's covered call. That would be both. I do like it. Right now, I would favor the poor man's covered call just for capital reasons. Because if it's going to tank, I would rather just have the leap go down than the cost. $3 grand for 100 shares or $600 for a leap. I would do that. I would do the poor man's covered call, and I would do next December. It would be next December, 30 strike. NVDA, load the boat, ? You sold the 110 put. This is why I didn't go live during NVIDIA's earnings. It's hard to even give answers right now because of what can happen in the morning. How many times have we seen earnings just do this and come right back up? Microsoft did. Microsoft looked like this, and then by the morning was probably up here at this zone one of those times. As far as loading the boat, I would say there's some boat action around this 110. Right now, I would feel comfortable selling quite a few 110 puts because I don't think we get there. If we do, we hit there on a Wednesday, bounce back up. I don't think we close on a Friday below there. It wasn't an or. Leaps and poor man's covered call. Well, poor man's covered call, you would buy a leap in the first place and then sell calls against it. A leap, you would just keep it. So yeah, if you're going to have that unit, you might as well collect some rent on it. But I think for now, especially if they're juiced up, the 110 puts are going to be juiced up for next week.
Yeah.
Now I will sell those. I can tell you right now, I'll sell those tomorrow. So if you want to hold hands on that trade, I'll be in it with you. Then I figure I'll probably call up Pelosi, maybe shoot her a text, see where she plans on buying, and then I'll probably sell some puts right around that area too. Do you have Pelosi's number?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Little black book.
All right, Beto. Guys, I am this close to putting 400 shares of Beto in the growth account, just to double the income and get that growth. The ex-dividend date should be September 3rd. Market closed 9-2. Boo. I do like Beto in this zone. I like Bitcoin where it's at. Everything about this trade right now, I do like. And the dividend isn't bad on Beto. Like this thing is just, it's like sucking me in. That dividend hits and you're like, it's not even that bad.
Yeah.
So it's a monthly dividend. Last month was $1. We'll call it $1.45 per share. So I'm ready to rock on that one. I don't want to hype anybody into it, but I can afford to buy probably quite a bit more, I think. Can you text Elon and get Tesla moving again? I was going to tweet Elon today because I have some ideas. He was talking to his team about ideas for Mars, about colonizing it and all that. Why wouldn't you take if they're talking about domes and everything to live in domes? that's cool and all, but that's a lot. That's a lot of surface area to get a hole in, and then all of a sudden blows up. Because there's no oxygen on there, and then thus he plans on bringing a forest with him, and we terraform the planet. But why wouldn't you take that tunnel system and just live in the tunnels? Then you have an entrance to worry about. You would probably want two, just in case there was an emergency you can get out. So it's not a coffin, but wouldn't that be better just to tunnel it down and then that's your building that you live in?
So kind of like Total Recall.
Did they live in tunnels over there?
They lived in the rock.
Okay, then yeah, why not do that? I feel like that's what he needs to do. That'd be easier.
Seems like a good idea.
Well, all I have is good ideas. Just kidding. If you don't agree with me, I can explain why. Just sit there longer. Hang on. How's Beto compared to iBit in terms of selling options? Okay, 1 second. Well, there's that answer. Beto has options. iBit does not. So I would go ahead and say Beto's better. As far as Tesla, sucks that we're below that gray zone. It does stand anything below 200, and I got the faucet turned on. I'm a buyer. And just so anyone doesn't take it out of context, sub 200, I'm buying, which means I like it at 196 and I love it at 176. So it's not because I'm just adding on because maybe that position's down. It's just because I genuinely like it. So just remember, just because I'm buying doesn't mean it's not going any lower. Just means I'm going to buy more shares for the same amount of money if it does. In the growth account, we got to finish up Palantir first, and then Tesla's the next one for sure. What if you had a vote, Mike? Let's pretend you're accurate for a day. Just kidding. So we got NVDA, Palantir. We're selling calls against it. What's the third ticker you're buying to hopefully get 100 of?
Tesla.
So you want to hold it? So it's 100% Tesla.
Yeah.
Okay.
The spreadsheets that I have say that the premium is probably one of the top 10 positions to hold from a premium perspective.
Yeah. Well, that was an easy one. No debate there. So that is the plan. I just want to see kind of what goes on with Palantir first. We have a few more shares to grab of that, and then we'll have calls to sell on NVIDIA. Palantir, we'll start taking that premium, using that to buy Tesla shares. We still have Beto, so we're going to take that dividend and use that to fund all of this. So like I told you guys last week, things are going to start really rolling once we start having multiple plays going at once.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to start picking up. Need NVIDIA to hold overnight, get out, and then send it. Wouldn't mind that, because then I come out smelling like a rose. We got the hat trick. I make money on literally every play. Yeah. Let's see. Okay, Hood, looking to sell a put and get assigned eventually. Hang on. Let's try that again. Looking to sell a put, I would sell do we have 1950s? That's 50 cents, right? Yeah, I would sell the 1950s. What delta? That's still a 20 delta. So if you want to get filled eventually, so right now, usually I'm in the teens. It's like the 17, 18, 16 delta, somewhere right there. The 20 delta is like the green light for me. But if I'm okay getting filled, we'll let fate take the wheel. I'm probably right there at the 20. If that's at 21 or 22, probably happening. If I want to get filled, I start selling the higher ones, and then Tesla just avoids it. If I really don't care and it's a coin toss, I sell right at the money and let fate take it from there. Right now it'd be the 1950s because you said eventually. Palantir, I have the 30 strike sold put for this Friday. Can't decide if I want to get assigned or roll. Then roll. Keep the strike the same. Get an extra week of theta out of there. And then see, because right now you can get a sign that might just suck. You can roll it another week, and if it starts to turn, buy that put back to close, which will be up, and then just go buy the shares. It's easier to manage from that standpoint. I guess it's all going to be the same because you could just get assigned the shares. If things suck, just stop out. So one thing to think about is how are you going to manage it? If you got to sign the shares right now, where is your stop? Because one thing you can do is if it starts melting down, manage that pre-market and post market. Where an options contract you have to wait a little bit. What would you do, Mike? Would you roll that or get assigned?
Right now, I'd have to roll it.
Okay. Matt says Theta Gang tattoo. Well, hopefully I was clear. I meant last week. NVIDIA did not sell off last week. Last week was when I said I would get the tattoo. I'm not getting a Theta Gang tattoo now. NVIDIA 118 covered call. Plan on buying back ASAP in the morning. So even Matt's a little bit nervous about the NVIDIA bounce back. Please, I hope nobody sees this. I hope the fear mongering takes place. I hope me, Kevin, and everybody said to sell. I hope everyone's got the flames in their thumbnails. I hope it's just panic. I don't want anybody buying it. Like, I need it to stay right here.
Yeah.
All right. Jex says, thoughts on the NASDAQ? Not good.
Yeah.
Hopefully that gap down was only led by NVIDIA and not everything else. Let's just check everything else. After hours, Google's down. Meta down. Tesla down. NVIDIA we know is down. Amazon, let's check them. Do you guys know they sell stuff online? It's crazy. Amazon down but was lower during the day. Maybe Microsoft will save it. So what I'm talking about is this gap down right here. Not the best look. Cool that it's green, but the fact that we gap down, even the S&P ES gap down. So like I talked about earlier, even earlier I said this candle could end up being green. We gapped right below that zone and then sent it. Ultimately right now, here's where we gapped because that's where green candles open is right here. Gapped it to there. Right now we're above. Man, if you think there's going to be a bounce back, it's because this zone holds. If we are below this in the morning, I would say it's probably going to be a continuation. NASDAQ at least needs to get above this blue zone. Everything about this blue zone and below, if we haven't got above it, I think is a short. Dom says it's true. I just bought NVIDIA stock on Amazon. I don't know why. I don't know if it irks me or not, but when people are like, it's Amazon Prime Day, but the stock's going to go up. Like, because they sold stuff online? Like, what is the premise? Walk me through that. Like, I don't get it.
So which way do you want NVIDIA to go in the morning?
I'm not even going to say it. Not up.
Not up. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll buy some. I'll just straight up buy some shares because that'll guarantee a drop.
Yeah, who here sucks other than Mike? I need some help. If you can't trade worth it, you buy NVIDIA right now. Please. That's how you can support me. All right, so last two tickers, SMCI and Dell. So this absolutely just getting decimated today. Way before NVIDIA's earnings, but
did I read that they're delaying their quarterly report or their 10K or something?
Is that what it is?
Well, they got hit by Hindenburg with a.
Oh, that's right. Gosh, so I'm busy in the mornings, but I did see the notification that Hindenburg came out with a report about this.
Yeah,
and Dom had already said it in the chat and everything, but I came in just to let everybody know, and everyone's like, "Oh yeah, I already said that." I was like, "All right, fine." So last time I tried to make sure you guys know anything. They delayed their 10K, reinforcing that Hindenburg was on to something.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's not going to be good.
No.
Hindenburg really got a lot of publicity or attention after Nikola. No one here knew about Hindenburg until Nikola. Nikola wasn't their first report. But they're probably short this, and by probably I can almost guarantee they are. Financial irregularities. Hey, if you're buying BABA, then what are you worried about SMCI for? If you're buying anything in any Chinese companies, there's some financial irregularities all over the place over there. I guess maybe because they can take a pencil to their Excel sheet and fix that. For context, they were delisted years ago from the NASDAQ for cooking the books. The same thing the report says they're doing now. Ooh, so does that make this a dip buy? Okay, so I say that because if you've already been busted for cooking the books, you've seen what happens, and you don't just get the same fine for the second time. It gets worse the second time. Like we've already told you, but we've already been down this road, and you did it again. Then you start getting all the books thrown at you. So I wonder if there is something in there. Hindenburg was given an inch by this, and they're taking a mile. You know what I'm saying? Like they're really making a mountain out of a molehill, which stands to make this one of the better dip buys. Because if they do their investigation and find out it's nothing, just some new kid put something in wrong and it's fixed, then it soars. How do you get in trouble for the same thing twice? You either get better at not getting caught, or you just don't do it anymore.
I
kind of want to buy it.
I kind of do as well.
Let's see. SMCI, which has a market valuation of $35 billion, has faced challenges in the past, including delisting from NASDAQ in 2018 due to non-filing of financial statements. Okay, appreciate that. Hindenburg-type reports seem illegal to defame publicly whistleblower, but then short the market before releasing their report. The Hindenburg is just an example of what all the other news is like. Just think about everything that happens around the world, and such. Just think about it in its entirety. What all happens, and you read 6 headlines a day. 6 million things happened, and you had these 6 things just wrapped in bright, shiny wrapping paper and a bow delivered right to your face. Why do you think that is? Like there's a financial gain. It's just not yours. They're just using you for that gain. I don't know if that's tinfoil hat theory or what, but I've made a lot of money off of it, assuming they're selling me something. They're not putting out this report because they're looking out for me. Hindenburg isn't just saying, "Hey, we want the world to be a better place." Like they want to just buy themselves more stuff. So I don't know.
That's at a good price. And they're going to split, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. They're splitting, 10 for 1?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm going to buy it at this. I wonder how much a 355 put is. I could sell that just for the rest of this week and still collect $180. Not that I would put out that much capital for $180, but not bad. So I could sell next week's 350 and get $500. I'm going to do that. I'm actually going to sell next week's 500. And I don't care if I get assigned. I don't care if it goes to 340. Hopefully it goes around about that price, not 240. That would suck. Yeah, I'm going to sell 350s for next week. As an IT professional, I will tell you that SMCI doesn't have a great name in the industry. There is speculation of backdoors for information gathering and ties to Chinese government. I explained to the books. They just got to get Winnie the Pooh to teach them the rest of it, I guess. I do appreciate the info. For now, I think I'm going to sell the puts and let fate decide. I get a free $500, or I catch the knife on this. Hang on, let's really talk about. Ooh, that does stand to drop $100 before I have to really get out of it. If it were to break, this is a far cry from now. But if it breaks that 230, I would have to be out. So hopefully I've made a lot of money in the meantime. Sounds like we need to buy puts. I don't know. Everything about what's going on right now with Hindenburg maybe they're onto something. I'm sure they're already trailing their position. So what does it matter if the dip gets bought up? What do you think?
So Supermicro makes a lot of, I'll just call them generic machines that people license and resell.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see that changing. Like, I don't think the fundamentals of the company have actually changed. Maybe the reporting is a little off, and they could get fined, but it's not going to change the company itself. That's why I'm kind of willing to take the risk on this one.
Yeah, at least for now.
At least for now.
Yeah, I like it. I would just buy an MCI competitor. Dell, for example, also a possible S&P add this quarter. An SMCI, okay. Let's check. Dell's our last ticker anyway. Let's check it out. Because the thing that sucks is this had such an amazing just rally and base. Like, we're coiling up to do something. And then it broke that to the downside. Broke it to the downside right into a zone, which is what I like to play, but just that formation, I would have liked it to break up. I still like the dip on Dell. Is Dell dipping because of this news? Is that what brought it down? Earnings is tomorrow. Ooh. I can tell you if I'm taking a Dell play right now, it would just be a spread. I think with this earnings, because I actually have one more to talk about. Lululemon. So let's look at Lulu real quick because it does. I'm gonna bring it back to Dell. The earnings are kind of all over. Some up, some down. I was looking at Lululemon. I was like, man, who's a competitor? Their earnings is also tomorrow. First, I looked at Nike. I was like, yeah, Nike sold off on their earnings. I was trying to think who's in this space. There was Abercrombie and Fitch. Is it AFE? What's Abercrombie and Fitch?
I can't remember.
I'm not even spelling it right. But ANF. There we go. Alien Ant Pharmaceutical. Oh, why for some reason I think of that every time. So they went down. But then Foot Locker also went down. So at first I was thinking shoes. I checked out Foot Locker and Nike, and I was like, they suck. But Under Armour was kind of what I was thinking, like trying to find that niche brand because Kohl's did well. I did not check out Kohl's. I got that from the chat. But Under Armour did well on their earnings. And if there was someone I was going to compare Lululemon to in the sector, I was thinking, there we go. So I am long Lulu. But a lot of these earnings are it's in the same sector. Some are doing well and some are just not. The only thing they're not doing is sitting still. So as far as that's what bringing it back to Dell, if I were to take a play because earnings is tomorrow, it would just be an in-out spread. If I'm bullish or bearish, I would buy calls or puts. Like if I'm bullish right now, I'd buy the 105, I'd sell the 110. I'd calls, and that'd be it. If I'm bearish, I would buy the 110 put, sell the 105. That would just be it. So, and I'm kind of tempted to take Dell. Dom says he thinks he's selling the 105 put. Still a bullish play.
Yeah.
This one, I think I'm just going to attack directly. I guess I say that, because like I would buy the call side on this versus selling a put. Both bullish. One, I think, is a little bit more. Am I wording that right? One's a little more direct and one's a little more indirect.
Yeah.
Because one needs to go up. Like for me to be right, for me to make money, it needs to go up. For Dom to be right, it just needs to be 105 or higher.
Right.
So we can drop, we can go sideways, we can go up, stand to gain a little bit more opportunity that way. All right. Well, we're wrapping it up. What do you what's your call to action? What do you got for him? Say something cool.
Yeah, put me on the spot, huh?
This is what I do every time we're recording, by the way, because I'm like, I do the intro. I'm like, what do you think, Mike? And we just try to ask, like, he knows it's coming.
I got nothing. I think tomorrow I'm just watching NVDA.
Are you going to be, so you go live is if you're part of the Patreon group, level 2, you go live Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Are you going to be live Monday?
Yes. No. Monday because the holiday.
That's why I asked that. Jeez, now we got to start over again. I got to edit that out.
No, so I'll go live Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday next week.
Okay, hang on. Lori says she asked me a question. I got to find it. Okay. Okay, so if you're underwater on shares on SMCI, would you still hang on to them?
Ooh.
I guess what is my original exit plan in the first place? Because in everything that I have, there is like a line in the sand where I'm saying enough is enough. For me right now, because I'm not in it, breaking that would kind of be my line. But holding it from you're already underwater, $200 more down, just another 50%, no big deal. Underwater on the I guess how underwater am I talking about? I should have had a line and it passed it. Okay. For her, this is probably a rare situation to be in because Lori and Lisa, I will say, they even see the slightest bit of red. They're like, nope, sucks, clip it. and they're gone. Yeah, they have zero emotions, zero worries. Like, I'm out. Plan to wheel it. Cost basis is up there, though. I'm not making an emotional decision to sell right now, I don't think. As a member of Wall Street Bets, I think you should double down and buy more. Okay, so if I'm doing this, the first thing I ask is, would I buy it right now? And my answer is yes. So that being said, if I'm going to buy right now, I ask myself that, in it or not, would I buy this right now? If the answer is yes, then I'm probably I'm on the buy side. Do I need to add more, or is it already so down that I'm not adding on? Because the one thing sucks, it's riding 5,000 shares up and 10,000 shares down. Like that's not fun at all. So you don't want to just go into a house fire carrying a can of gasoline. So since you're already underwater and it's already kind of past your point, is it worth it buying more? You buy some more right now, it's going to bring your average down considerably. Is it enough to start selling calls? You'd probably have to buy quite a bit for that. Probably more than you'd want to. Yeah, you'd have to buy another 300 shares to probably do anything with it. I think right now I would be watching it. I would watch it in hopes we turn around. For sure, my line in the sand would have to be this zone. I would really not want to sell it right now in the middle of these two zones. Everything I do is so zone-based that if it breaks this, I got to say I'm out. If it hasn't, it sucks, but what sucks even more is making an emotional decision at the bottom and watching that thing turn around. So I'd probably go into management mode, like, maybe no new lows, like this better be the bottom, and every green day it has, I'm in it, but the second it turns, then I'm out. Scale out a bit on rallies if you think there's some resistance that won't break through. Yeah, some kind of management mode probably might not be bad. So it pops up, maybe hits this zone up here, you sell 100 shares, sells back off, grab that 100 shares back again, still kind of get back in that position, but start kind of wiggling your way out of it. But yeah, it would just be every morning I would wake up and look at this one because it would be on the chopping block, I think. On the chopping block, but it needs to get its act together right now.
Yeah.
And then I would close that out and I would hold account Alibaba. I'm just kidding. Technician says, so basically you'll be hearing from me in the morning. If you're up in the morning, yeah, I imagine I'll hear from the chat. So from now, hopefully nobody watches this, nobody buys the dip on NVIDIA, and it stays right here. Please. This is going to be something stupid. It's going to be 1:33 in the morning, and I'm going to lose my mind. Like, please don't. All right. We'll wrap it up here, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you. What's today? Wednesday. Hopefully, you'll see me tomorrow. Have a good one.
We'll see you.